Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Spears and Steinberg podcast. Right here with Spears.
How y'all feel out there?
Steinberg. What time is it? Game time.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. Comedian. Happy birthday to you. Thank you for that there, Marilyn. Can't wait to go back into the presidential quarters and shove my cork down your throat. Yeah, happy birthday to me, goddammit, and a moment of vanity.
And it really is your birthday today when we're recording this.
Yes, Sunday, April 3rd, baby. Here in Naples for nipples with niggas and navels.
So if you were alive back then and Marilyn was alive,
Yes.
would you throw it in Marilyn?
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Okay, I was just checking.
I would throw it in any white broad from the past because that was the measure of success.
That was the measure.
Yes.
So then Joe Johnson was the most successful black man ever at that time.
Joe Johnson.
Joe Johnson, the boxer.
Jack Johnson.
Jack Johnson, sorry.
Yeah, because he was getting all that white kitty cat. And Marilyn Monroe was the top of the crop.
So are you envious of the Kennedys for that?
Nah. No,
okay.
they
So you mean if it came to you, that wouldn't be something you would seek out? Marilyn isn't your...
Oh, no, she would be. Marilyn was a
At
bad
that time?
bitch at that time, yeah.
Yeah, she was like more your... The size of women back then were more to your structure.
Yes, you know who I always had a crush on? And I'm thinking of her because I remember she did a mock Marilyn Monroe thing. And Nicole Smith.
Yeah.
Oh, man, oh, goodness. When she was in the Naked Gun movies, at the height of her Anna Nicole-ness, them titties, man. Oof. Thick, too, from Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Anna could have got the business. We are here in Naples, Florida. Naples is this club off the hook is the White Chuckles in Memphis. Not as bad because the second shows are a little bit better, energy-wise, youth-wise. But those first shows, man, those are the, what they call them shits for old people breakfast.
The early bird specials?
Those are the early bird specials, man.
The early comedy bird specials.
Oh, my God, man.
Yeah, they're not, I mean, it isn't, it is. I mean, it's soul crushing, but it's not, I've been in worse situations.
Yeah. Yeah, we have.
But this is consistent. You know that it's going to be this on those first shows.
Right. So here we are, home of the older white woman, alligator neck and chest.
Well, this the richest zip code, though, in the United States.
I see. Boats and shit. These hunkies got money.
And attitude when they drink.
Yes. And you know, it's funny. Some of these off-brand places, like major cities in Florida, Orlando, Tampa, West Palm, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, it'd be these off-brand places like a Naples or a Fort Myers where these motherfuckers be rowdy, man. Little rowdy.
They were little like I just don't like how they...
Aggressive.
Yeah, aggressive. How they move. Like when you're doing merch, they're basically just pushing everybody out of the way to get what they want.
And very vocal in the crowd. Like some of them, yell shit out and, because sometimes when I'm perusing through the social media, I see comics who are up and coming or comics who are still just starting. They don't really have any credits or names. And they perform in a lot of these off-brand places. And, this myth that white people don't heckle and are, listen, niggas give it to you when they don't like you. But white folks heckle too, man. Like I remember when we were talking about Fat Tuesday, Steve Harvey was talking about how whites, when they don't like you, they just polite. Yes and no. White folks heckle, man. When they get that alcohol in them and some of these rural parts of the country, yo, they can be just as bad as the Negroes.
There is this one difference from my perspective. When you're not doing a good job, Black people will give you the business. Like they'll heckle you. They'll make you feel bad about your chosen profession at that moment. You don't even have to be doing bad for white people just to be
rude.
Yeah, they'll just start talking or having a conversation or feel what they needed to say was more important than anything else going on in the room.
And I mean, honestly, part of that is the alcohol in them.
Yeah.
That alcohol get the best of them. And they turn into that Dr. Jekyll and Hyde shit.
But I think that's where it's just straight up rudeness. It's not, I'm heckling because you were terrible. It's, I'm just don't give a shit that you're there in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be nice if we could do the reverse. Like when the audience is like that, we walk into the audience and slap the shit out of them. And they come back up on the mic and go, keep your comments to your motherfucking self.
There's a sketch from Jackass, and they had this giant hand.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. And it just, when they came walking up, they let the hand go. It'd be one of those if those came out of the ceiling.
Right.
And just
smack the shit out of them.
Yeah.
That would be hilarious. Real quick, before we dive into what we want to dive into, a couple things. I saw Tropic Thunder. I kind of felt like, dude, I can't not watch what's considered one of the greatest comedies in film ever. But I forget who wrote the email. You lied to me a little bit. You said to me, once they finished the scene with the dude with the intestines and the blood, that there was no more crazy shit. Nah, yo. There's the scene where the dude who's the director of the movie steps on a landmine and blows up. And because Stiller still thinks it's all bullshit and it's a prop head, he picks the fucking head up and the danglements of the inside of the neck. This nigga starts chewing and eating and having the blood drip in his mouth. So I almost turned the motherfucker off again. But I went and I stuck my way through it. And yeah, man, a couple things I wanted to point out, man. I love they had the poster when Ben Stiller was talking to Matthew McConaughey, his agent, and he had the I think it was the movie poster near him of it was a mock movie poster with him and Martin Lawrence, and the movie was called Chitlin and the Guy. I thought that was funny. Just chitlin. Just anytime white folks who I really don't think ever know what chitlins are, eat chitlins. I mean, even deep Southern white folks, I don't think fuck with chitlins. That is such a black person's food. Either real hardcore ghetto niggas or Southern niggas. I remember there used to be a meme I would see on Instagram that said, I'm black, but I'm not chitlins black. So just anytime white folks and chitlins is hilarious to me. That conversation that Robert Downey Jr. had with Ben Stiller about retard. Retard conversation. Going full retard with a versus all the way halfway retard. And I'm going to tell you something. There's no way I would have found offense, nor did I take offense with Downey Jr. That shit was hilarious. That shit, I would have died on the set. Like shooting those scenes, the way the black man, the way his impression, his interpretation of that was fucking hilarious.
But you do know that he came out and he said that, things being different, he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't do that today.
Oh, shame on him.
See that?
Come on, Robert, don't do that. That was fucking hilarious. And listen, here's how you balance that out, though. The fact that you had Brandon Jackson's character calling him on it. Now, if you'd have had, you had three white guys and a black, no, you had one, Jack Black, Ben Stiller, the skinny white boy. Yeah. You had three white boys and one black guy. If it was all white guys and Robert Downey was doing that and there was no one to call him on that, then you feel like, okay, we being mocked. But the fact that the black guy was at the party and was able to call him on that, not for lack of better words, a pass, but it balances it out.
Well, and it's also the subject matter. It's part of the subject matter of the movie. So it's being addressed, even if it's not being addressed.
Right. Like even when he finally took it off and went back to being the Australian, I didn't like that. I wanted him to stay that dude. That shit was funny, man.
But you didn't find it funny that, then you thought he was going to go back. I just thought it was funny because then he's an Australian.
Yeah.
Because he's still not him.
Right.
So that it added to the...
Yeah, but I like that. I just love what he did so much. I thought it was so funny and interesting and so a big issue that I was just like, hey, man, rock, And that's the brilliance of when you tackle something that might be, ooh, if you do it right, man, the genius overshadows the concern.
Well, okay, this is what we've been talking about, and Aries and I talk about this sometimes. And I'm just I know I'm going off what you were planning on here, but you said you caught a little bit of Gerard Carmichael's new special.
Right.
And I caught about 3/4 of it. I didn't see the whole, I didn't catch the very beginning. Dude, and working like Chappelle does, talking about things that are unapproachable is what comedy should be. Things that you can make people laugh as you talk about something that's so that either, and when you watch Gerard's special, you really get that he's in that moment, but he's sharing it with you. That's a little different than even what Chappelle is, where Chappelle's under control of the moment and he's taking care of it and making it that way. But to me, that's what comedy's supposed to be. And that's why this knowing what you're supposed to say in comedy and knowing how to, that if you do that, then it ceases to become what good comedy is, where you tackle an issue that no one wants to touch. And the only way to broach that conversation is with comedy, to put some levity in it so that you can survive what would initially be painful or just uncomfortable. You got to be uncomfortable. Good comedy should make you uncomfortable.
Right. And I think the saving grace, and you're actually going to take me into my next thing, but the saving grace is not only should it make you uncomfortable, but the fact that what you're saying is true.
Right.
Makes it undeniable. So as uncomfortable as it may be, you go, yeah, it's funny. Yeah, it's risque. It's edgy. It's uncomfortable. It's thought-provoking. But above all else, it's true. So how can you deny the truth?
And even if you're not correct, but it's your truth, and you're speaking from an honest place, that's still part of it.
Right.
Because if you're being honest and you're speaking from an honest place, even then there's that conversation that occurs from it, and it can be funny. Go ahead. I'm just going back because
the one other thing I want to say, and then I'm gonna jump right on to that next thing, dude. I laughed so out loud when Robert Downey said that line. I'm like a little kid that plays with his dick when he's nervous. What the fuck is it? And even the character, when he said the line, went, what? But it was just because I used to do a thing where I would want to, like, my dad is a character. And I never would say it was my dad, but when I was on Mad TV and I had to play these kind of like old school black dudes, and my dad would wear shit like the old school niggas would wear. He would wear like white shorts with lime green dress socks pulled up to the knees, with white patent leather shoes and a green silk shirt. And you couldn't tell him that nigga didn't look good. It was the most Detroit look ever, nigga. And I mean, 2 rings on each finger. He was one of them niggas. And I used to make up this line where I go, old school niggas would say shit to you that make no sense, but then somehow in their world, it makes sense. Like my father might say some shit like, hey, look here, man, when you get in that Hollywood game, remember one thing, don't let nobody play with your money, because the man that play with your money will play with your dick. What? So it just somehow that line resonated with me, and I laughed out loud. Now let me go back to what you just said. Something weird, and you guys listen, for those of you who have listened to this podcast, you know my dilemma with Hispanic people in the service industry that don't really speak great English. Yesterday, I wanted my room clean, and really the way this room is set up Me and Andy have the same setup. TV, desk next to it, couch in back of us, the bed, and then the bathroom. So the maid comes in. If she don't really, of course, can speak English. So we're kind of struggling, but she's getting what I want. I'm going service. So my bed is a mess. I purposely may arrange the sheets and the pillows to where you could tell the bed needed to be made. And I wanted the sheets changed. And the towels are all in the bathroom on the floor. So she comes in and she was a little apprehensive anyway, but whatever. I had ordered some Chinese food. So she's already got the door open and she's using the thing to put underneath the door so it won't close. Standard shit. She cleans the bathroom and then she gives me the thumbs up as though she's done. I said, Miss, no. The bed. So then she kind of hesitates, but then she says to me, can you open the shades to the window? And I'm like, because, I keep my shades closed so the room is dark, so I sleep all day. But I'm going, what the fuck do the shades have to do with you being able to make a bed? But then I went, okay. Shh. I pull the shades back. Now the sun is beaming through. And for those of you who might think, oh, well, maybe it was too dark. No, I had every light in the room on. It was bright as fuck. But she wanted me to pull the shade back. And then a beat later, she gets another maid to help her make the bed. And I'm going, I've been in hotels for over 10 years consistently. They know how to make a bed by themselves. I think this bitch thought I might rape her. And I didn't understand why she needed the shades to be open. And then she had to go get a friend. And then by the time they started making the bed, my Chinese food arrived. And I'm sitting at the desk eating Chinese food, watching TV. Now, if I would have told her, come in the room, and I got nothing on but my drawers. Nothing else but just drawers, okay? I am fully fucking dressed. Head, hat to socks. So what the fuck? I didn't get, and I'm going to let you say what you're going to say, and then I'm going to make my point about all this. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say, I mean, in that industry, people have abused service people before, especially people that might not be able to speak English well, maybe not, maybe because of that feel like they may not have actual residency and think that they can get away with shit. And so why wouldn't someone it has nothing to do with you personally. Why wouldn't you want someone else to be in the room when you're in a room with somebody? That the room was all dark. It wasn't dark. The shades were all drawn. It was it's just why. I'm not saying that it should be looked upon the person in the room, because a lot of most hotels now won't even let you be in the room when the service person's in there.
I've had that only happen once.
I just know that it's policy a lot because of safety. So I wouldn't have a problem with it, only because I know that's, people should be aware and concerned. They shouldn't just go into anything openly, and they should be aware. I wouldn't expect her to come in my room.
Okay. Well, I guess my bigger issue with it, of course, is the same thing it's always been, which is the language barrier. And being here in Naples, and I want to figure out how to say this, because I think that this is a universal feeling amongst people in general. But somehow down here with the older white people, I think this might mean a little bit more. But it's like when I did my transgender material down here this weekend, and I stopped doing the thing about where I talk about Caitlyn Jenner in general and what to me it means to be, is it was cis, mean a real woman? Cis. A cis woman versus a transgender woman. And afterwards, they don't necessarily say it outright, but there's a way. I've been doing this long enough now where when people compliment you, the way they compliment you, the way they shake your hand, there's an extra something in the handshake. There's an extra something in the eyes. There's an extra something in the tone where they're saying to you without saying to you, thank you. Thank you for saying that. I agree. I hate the fact that I can't be honest with it. I can't say how I feel. And somehow we get to vicariously in that moment lived through you, thank you. Like there was a couple women and even a dude or two who, when they shook my hand at the merch table, went, "You are fucking amazing. What you did up there, what you said, thank you." They never was specific. They never said, straight up. But I know. So, and once upon a time ago, when I used to do the bit that I did on my first Showtime special about the language problem going to Popeyes, the Popeyes joke I used to do and dealing with the Mexicans who couldn't really speak English well. So, and whether it's that or fairy godmother, there's something in certain topics where they go, thank you. Because people hate having to feel trapped. Like, if I say something, I'm a bigot, I'm fucked up. And I know I'm not a bigot, and I know I'm not fucked up, but the times we live in, I can't express what I want to express about how I feel, and I think shit is, they want to get that off their fucking chest. And even though they can't say it or won't say it openly, they say it behind closed doors, the fact that I'm saying it openly and they can go, truth. Oh, thank God. I'll say this one last thing and then I'll be done. I remember I saw Godfrey on his podcast. He had this black guy on and they were talking about, and I didn't even know this, the transgender MMA fighter who was fighting women and beating the shit out of them. And they were both offended. And even in their expression of being offended, you could still feel them tap dancing around their expression because kaboom, this is a landmine. But there's something so incredibly fucking insane to me about that concept. That because you can go, I feel like I'm a woman, I'm transgender, I'm identify as a woman, and I'm gonna enter a sport where I'm fighting women, cis women, and I got dude hormones and an advantage, and I'm beating the shit out of them. For God's sake, that ain't right, man.
Okay, but here, let me get to something with you. I've received a few things where they're asking us to talk about the swimmer who is trans female, and she was winning and breaking records. And you don't know about this person though, and we haven't covered it. I got some things.
I heard the story.
You heard the story? Have you seen all the coverage about it?
Not all of it, but I've seen the picture.
Well, the reason you're not really seeing all the coverage is because you watch MSNBC, right?
I watch MSNBC, CNN.
Okay, because they don't really cover that.
Okay, so Fox does?
Not Fox. You got to read past that, and CNN has covered it, touched it a little bit, but not that much.
Right.
Yeah, of course Fox does because that's part of
your evil agenda.
Well,
the truthful agenda. I'm being funny, but
yeah, I know, but it's more in their wheelhouse. But that's why I tell people, you have to watch it all, whether you like it or not, because you got to know what they're saying. Or you got to know what every side's saying, and there's such the vastness between the two. There's a lot that falls into the middle, so it's worth listening to both, and then catching in the middle. CNN has done a little bit better job, not really, but a little bit better this year. Anyway, going back, but this is the craziness that we're in, and no one wants to address it, and it stays kind of off to the side. And we haven't spoken about it because I don't think we're really informed enough to speak on it. But yeah, if you're breaking all the records and you weren't killing it as before, there's some things that have to be addressed.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's all I'm saying. I mean, and again, we always preface it by going, we're not saying people shouldn't be who they are and be happy and bop, 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 bop. We always do that. But it's like to somehow express the truth of some of this absurdity. That in and of itself makes you evil. That makes you wrong. And that's such horseshit.
Well,
and that's when you have backlash. Because people just get fucking tired.
I mean, they did do the things where you had to bring down your hormonal. I don't know the words. That's why I didn't want to do this, but it came up, so we're doing it to keep them down to a certain level that it's supposed to be. But your bone structure, your setup is different. I don't know. I mean, I think you should be able to live your life as who you feel that you are, but that shouldn't give you an unfair advantage in the things that you do. It shouldn't give you there was a pitcher played in the major leagues for a few years who was a pitcher but never really made it into the majors. And he had some surgery where he had to have a tendon redone. And it gave him a fastball. Like, it gave him a better fastball. And he was actually able to play like 2 years in the majors after that. So you would say that is, but that was a byproduct of what he did. If people started doing that and having that surgery to tighten that up so that they could be a better pitcher, I don't know if you would allow that to happen that way. If people started having surgeries to tighten up areas so that they would be a stronger pitcher, so that they could be a professional pitcher, I think that they would consider that an unfair advantage. I don't think they would allow that if that wasn't an accidental situation with this person.
I agree with Godfrey's assessment. Create your own league. What's wrong with that? They got Special Olympics for, those, people with
special needs.
Special needs. I've seen people in the wheelchairs play basketball and shit like that. Create what's wrong? Create your own league. But to do the other thing, I just think that's fucking malarkey.
Yeah. But this is where we are. This is why we're in this whole place that we are right now, with everything from our advancements in electronics and being on social media and having this news cycle that can recycle every 5 minutes, and our technology and what we can do, where science is at. I mean, we're rewriting rules right now. So this is where we're at. But we're going to rewrite these rules, but you're not allowed to talk about it.
This thing where we go, it seems like we must please everyone. We must service all needs. Listen, why? That's not how life works. Everybody ain't gonna make it. Everybody ain't gonna be successful. Everybody's dreams ain't gonna be fulfilled. Now, why that is that more some shit you doing wrong? Or maybe the fucking stars in the universe just don't align right for you. That's just life.
Well, the other part is not everybody wants to be a multimillionaire, a billionaire. Not everybody
Thank God.
Some people are, I have a friend that out of high school, he wanted to work on cars. He's an auto mechanic. He enjoys his life as an auto mechanic. If you enjoy working on cars and being in that area, you make enough money for your family and enjoy your life. Why is that? Why are we supposed to have this other interest where this is all we're looking at is how to become successful? Follow your dreams is great, but it has to be your dreams inside you, not just your dreams as becoming this famous or rich person. There's more to life. There's things to be enjoyed. I've done this comedy thing knowing that there is a pretty, and you hate when I say this, but there's a pretty good chance I'm not going to put it this way. I'm very confident that I'm not going to become a household name. And I don't have a problem with that. I enjoy doing comedy for comedy's sake. I enjoy putting the time and effort into it. I enjoy working with you. I enjoy working with other comedians. I enjoy actually the green room experience of talking to other comedians and stories that you pass back and forth. I enjoy the camaraderie. That's enough for me. But if you go into everything to be this ultimate success, I don't know. I'm just wondering where we're at and how we're going to work our way through this, because this is a very wild, wild west time to me with how we're doing with the internet and how we're doing with scientifically, how our advancements are being made. I mean, I have concern, but I'm not. We're just not the right people to be handling this, and especially the way that we're handling it. We're not going to talk about it, but everything should be nice.
I don't know if I think this is the right word. Renaissance. You know what that means?
Yeah, I don't know the definition. The Renaissance is a
Like,
rebirth,
rebirth, right.
a renewing.
I hope we have a renaissance of some sort back to the way things used to be. Because I feel like, everything at some point kind of repeats itself a little bit. But I just have, we go back to a little bit where we're not so uptight. We're not so everybody has to have a trophy. And we go back to some old school type of shit.
But you got to watch when you say something like what you just said. We go back to the way things used to be, because that's the same reason that when Donald Trump put a hat on that said,
Make America Great Again.
That's where the backlash of that came in. When was America great again? How far back do you want to go?
I know that. I know, but we know I don't mean.
I know you.
The negative parts about it. You know what I mean?
But to some people that felt like you couldn't, especially like if you're LGBTQ, you couldn't come out. You couldn't be open about it.
And I'm not saying let's go back to anybody being uncomfortable, anybody being mistreated, anybody being having to experience an unfair way of life. I'm not saying the negative parts. Just let's toughen the fuck up a little bit
so that we can have a conversation.
Yeah, and let's use a little bit of rationale and logic and shit that makes sense.
Well, because I saw this clip and there was a comedian and he addressed someone as her, and apparently they got very upset about that because they said, I don't identify as her. And he goes, I apologize. I assumed. How do you identify? And they go, they or them. And I couldn't imagine being a comic on stage and looking at someone in the audience and go, they, and speaking to a single person as a they without any kind of clue as to who that person was in front of them. I mean, if you want to be addressed as a they or them, I mean, I'm not saying this facetiously. It would be hard for me in a group of people to see someone who you acknowledge and they give you that back. And how would you know that was a they or a them? How would I address that as a they or them? Because that's a plural and I'm on stage using correct English. I don't know how that works unless you have a hat that says, please refer to me as they or them.
Right.
Or a t-shirt. So we need that conversation so that we can even have that conversation.
All right.
Let's see. I got to move on from that one.
So we told you we were going to get to it. Jeen-yuhs on Netflix, 3-part documentary. I was intrigued by the first 2 parts. The third part kind of left me on snooze control.
I thought this third part was important to understanding Kanye is the other 2 parts.
Right. Well, I just, once they really, I mean, it was the only place left to go, which was the crazy part of him.
You interpreted that show like how you eat pizza. I'm going to let people know this. Aries doesn't eat crust.
Yeah, that was the crust for me.
That was the crust. You got all the juicy tidbits that you wanted and everything that was in the middle, and then you left the crust. But that was important. That's who.
Right.
Yeah.
Listen. First of all, I applaud, despite what Kanye has become. I applaud the fact that yes, musically, the dude is a beast and a genius, and the amount of confidence that you have to play this game, be it sports, any facet of entertainment. And I love the moment when they showed him at Rockefeller's offices and he's playing his music, but as confident as he was, you could still see the part of him that was human, because you also saw he was nervous. As confident as he was, when the camera would cut to his face and the other people who were listening to his shit was vibing, heads were bopping, and they would cut to him, you could see that look on his face of, I want acceptance. I want this to be liked. I want people to recognize that this is good. And I like seeing that because he's such a cocky dude, especially later, that to me, it takes the humanity out of him. And the fact that no matter how confident he was still nervous. That to me still felt like he was relatable.
Well, but that comes from, he was still believed in himself and his music, but he needed those other people to be able to move up to the next level. So if you've been passed over and put on the side and denied, of course, I think you're always nervous as someone who has that has access to that next level. You're going to be that way.
But as he became more and more successful, I didn't see any nervousness.
Because he didn't need the access anymore. He owned the access.
Yeah. Most people that I talk to about it, performing, doing anything in the spotlight, they still admit to having some nervousness. Now, it doesn't show because, you become so seasoned that, you know how to hide it. But in the pit of your stomach, there's still nervousness. I always say, guys who go, I don't get nervous. That to me, I love Neri, but Neri goes, I don't get nervous. Okay, nigga. I think that sometimes stops you from being a better performer. Because if you're that confident and cocky and sure that you don't feel nothing in the way of nervousness, then how do you challenge yourself? How do you, if you feel like, your shit don't stink or there's a chance it may stink? So I just,
I think performers, and you've been doing this a long time, and I've seen it in you. You call it nervousness, but nervousness and excitement in your brain lights up the same parts of your brain. So you keep saying nervousness, but I think it's the excitement of being on stage again, the excitement of putting out a new joke. When you're young and you're doing it, you have these jokes are just going loose on their own, and there's nervousness about putting it out. But when you do a new joke now, there's nervousness, but the excitement of that you just birthed this new joke. I think that's don't you think there's a little bit of similarity between nervousness and excitement?
I mean, maybe, but I feel excitement just from the laughter, the rush, the energy of that getting that laugh.
That's the confirmation, excitement.
No, but even if I'm doing something that isn't new, the moment I hit that stage, I feel the excitement unless the audience is shitty, which then drains it from me.
Yeah, that drains the soul.
Right, but as long as their energy is good, I could do that every fucking day, all day. I had it in the notes too. It's like, and I know I've kind of touched upon this, but it's like the assumptions people make about show business. Like, and I thought while I was watching this, you would think, as far as his ability as a beat maker and a strong lyricist, that he would be able to get a deal easily. And the fact that Jay-Z, who he made beats for, successful beats for, hit beats for, and the fact that he knew him and already had Jay-Z's respect, he would be able to pick up a phone and just go, Jay, you know me, you know my work, you know what I do, you know I'm official tissue. Nigga, what is the problem? And people make these assumptions. They see what they see and they add the dots and go, well, 1 + 1 should equal 2 as far as that goes. And it goes to show you, no, it's not like that a lot of times.
No. And they put him in a producer box. They put him into the beat maker box. They didn't put him in, they didn't put him into that someone who had bars.
Yeah.
And the reason though, but is that because of his personality to them?
What do you mean, personality?
You know how you feel like when you feel like you're the best. And Kanye always felt like he was the best.
But they all do.
But maybe, when you're Jay-Z, when you're whoever you are, and when you're at a certain place and someone comes at you like they're the greatest, maybe you go, you just settle down. You do beats. I love your beats.
No, I agree with you about they put him in a box. But even when they heard him lyrically, it still wasn't a piece of cake. Even when they signed him, they kind of shelved him.
Yeah, they put him on the shelf once.
Yeah, so I mean, I just, Jay-Z has that line, which I love so much in his song, Public Service Announcement. When you first come in the game, look how they play you. Drop a couple of hits, look how they wave to you. And I'm just going, if you're Jay-Z and you wrote that, and you know that, wouldn't you go, Kanye, I know what you're going through, so let me make sure I don't play you. Let me give you the help that I'm talking about you don't get until you make a hit. You know, one of my things is I always thought, like, you know, when you look at that movie by Will Smith, The Pursuit of Happiness, and he played that character who at one point was pretty much the homeless, struggling with his son, and all he was looking for was an opportunity. And then I go, so if a dude came to you going, hey man, you Will Smith, you got your company Overbrook, can you please give me an opportunity? Can you produce something for me? Can you get behind me? And then he shuns you. It's almost crushing because you go, so did you just do that piece of art saying that to the common man and making the common man feel like you relate to what we go through? But then when we ask you for that opportunity, you act like the very guys who won't give you the opportunity.
Or is it that I know what it takes to get through this, and unless you're willing to go through this, you're not gonna make it. Like you're great at beats. I'm listening to your rhymes. I like them. But you think you're the greatest, and it's just not gonna come out like that. You gotta have this kind of armor on, this kind of suit, this way to go through this wall, and you have to be able to break through that wall before the next step can happen. I'm not saying that's what it is, but I'm saying if you're Jay-Z and you went through everything Jay-Z did, I mean, Jay-Z didn't get a record. He had to open up his own record label. So unless you're willing to do that, why would Jay-Z give that to you? This is what I did to get to here. You're making money, you're making beats, you believe in yourself, but you haven't broke through yet. I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm saying, but is that a possibility?
Could be. They want you to go through the test that they went through. They want you to, jump the hurdles and get around the obstacles they had to. I don't know. It just feels like double talk to me. It feels, if you put that out there, like first come in the game, they try to play you, drop a couple of hits. Well, nigga, I'm capable of hits. So don't play me. Help me.
Yeah, I'm not denying that. I'm just trying to see what the other side is. Why it seems so hard.
Yeah, this is goofy shit to me.
And maybe the original rhymes that he threw at him weren't that great. I don't know. But I know I had heard about Kanye before the album was dropped. I knew when it was happening, it was going to be a big deal. So at that time, he was already, and more power to him. He did the Jay-Z model. He didn't actually do his own record company, but he went and he got when they weren't giving the money to him, he spent his money. He broke the door down. He did it. I don't know if that's what Jay-Z was looking for at the time, because if you listen to him, he sounds different than everyone else. So for him to be able to get a footing in that music industry at the time, he was going to have to break through all the way. It wasn't that I can get a hit out of this guy. I can make money out of this guy. I can send him on tour. We can make money out of this guy. Kanye was a different thing. He needed to be in a certain place for him to make money because he was going to break barriers.
His relationship that he had with his mother. I wish people understood how valuable that is. And I mean, whether it's your mother or your father or both, for me, in my case, it was really my mother, because my father didn't catch on till how most motherfuckers catch on. Once you're there, then it's like, oh, shit. But so many dreams for children, particularly Black children, can be accomplished through their mothers. You got to get behind your kids. You got to get behind their dreams, even if you think they're silly, even if you don't think it's realistic. And so many times, because the parents didn't accomplish what they wanted to or couldn't dream beyond their reality, they put that off on their kids. And a lot of dreams get killed that way. And the fact that his mother was so instrumental in his belief system and his confidence, it was a beautiful thing to watch.
Well, she made that confidence, and she never denied him the right to his dreams. She never put any weight on his dreams, because that when he comes in, he's wearing that scene where he's wearing the angel necklace.
Right.
I told you this.
Yeah.
He's wearing that angel necklace. People that crush dreams would say something to their kid when they came in and they're working and they're telling you about how hard it is. And you got this angel necklace on that you spent you spent some money on it. It
Right.
was expensive. And she sees that and she doesn't say, well, Kanye, my mom would have said, well, you have all this, but you're spending money on gold chains.
But there's nothing wrong with that either.
There isn't, but she didn't do that. She said, Kanye, that's nice. You need an angel looking over you.
Yeah.
I mean, her perspective on him, his skills, and his, I'm going to say this, though. There was a little Jesus complex that she had in Kanye. She looked at Kanye as the next coming. She gave him everything as he was the next coming.
All of that was beautiful and necessary and nice and should be. But I just want to be clear, because that's a conversation we definitely don't have in the Black community, is financial literacy. So while I definitely see that perspective as being a great perspective, how she did that, I don't want to act like that other side is bad too, about, hey, ain't nothing wrong with buying chains and diamonds and all of that. But understand that the best way to get the chains and the diamonds is before your dreams come true as a superstar, stocks, and bonds, and financial literacy and real estate and things that can help you get those things. So yeah, that was a beautiful moment, and I agree with it. But I don't want to shit on the other thing either.
But it's very telling to what's going to come up later.
Right.
But we're looking back at it.
Right.
So it's easy to see that now, but when at that particular moment in time, what you said, beautiful moment, she's all in on what Kanye is going to be, and that's why when I said it's almost like a Jesus complex, her son she's looking at him as the next coming.
Right.
So
yeah, I
Jesus didn't need real estate and tax, bonds and tax structure and anything like that. That's why I've said Jesus complex. I understand what you're saying about that financial literacy.
Right.
But
that nigga could also turn water into wine.
Yeah.
So.
And I think she thinks Kanye could have too as well.
If you can do that, fuck your chains, nigga. That's the quickest way to get some pussy. I'm thirsty. Hold on. What? Drink that.
Put the fish down. Get that chicken.
Yeah. There was one moment where Kanye is playing his beats to the rapper Scarface. And I could just tell. Like Kanye, even though, yes, he's Chicago, Midwest, when you listen to his beats, they're very East Coast. The melodies, the way the drums, the sound. And Scarface is a Houston nigga. And I could tell he wasn't, he was bobbing his head. And he was saying, that's hot. And you could recognize something as being hot. It just ain't for you. Same way I always go, Chris Rock is a brilliant genius. Just ain't for me. I could tell them beats wasn't for Scarface. That was his style, that Houston style, didn't match what Kanye was doing. And even Kanye said in that part of the documentary, they never recorded. He never came back to the studio. Because Scarface has a very certain specific sound. And it's that Houston sound. And I loved watching that because I was going, he bobbing his head, but he ain't feeling that shit. It was a little too, I think, complex for his rhyme scheme.
Well, that's an interesting take because obviously he didn't come back.
Right.
But Kanye should have been able to make beats for anyone because that's what he did. You
should have said he should have been able to adapt to his style.
Style is what. That's what I'm meaning.
Yeah, I mean, there's some dudes who could do that. There's this, I forget what it's called, but there's this 10-part documentary on Netflix all about hip hop. And one of the episodes was about producer Just Blaze. And Just Blaze has always been, especially in the 90s and the 2000s, again, when rap was at its peak form. Just Blaze, you would always hear Just Blaze. And he was one of them dudes where he could see, he seemed like he could conform a beat masterfully and musically to fit whoever was the rapper and that style. And you're right. I've never known Kanye to do that. He just made a hot beat and whoever listened to it went, yo, that shit's dope. I'll take that.
Yeah. Well, and Kanye being from the Midwest, the influences from everywhere around the world would be in the Midwest. So you would think that he would have absorbed all the other influences too.
Well, true. But I also think that especially in that time, again, rap was born out of the Bronx. Hip hop was born out of the Bronx. And New York had such a stranglehold on rap because that was the birth. That's where it came from. That's what everybody that wasn't East Coast, Midwest, down South, West Coast, they weren't born yet. They might have been toying with rap, but they weren't the big kid on the block.
Well, and they weren't being recognized.
They weren't being recognized.
Because it was different.
Right. So for a lot of those artists, their influences were East Coast.
Yeah.
Before they put themselves on the map. So I think Kanye came in where most of his influence was the East Coast. So that's why his beats were what they were. As opposed to a dude coming up now where your city has already either been on the map or is going to be on the map. You know, New York don't own rap no more like it used to. It's everybody's gotten a turn. So now you don't have to do that. Your influence can be who's from your hometown. But back in the 80s and the 90s, yeah.
Yeah, it was a different,
right.
It was a texture. Music, all music has a texture, but rap was so new.
Right.
The texture all felt kind of the same. And then now as it expanded, that's how we got where we are.
And dude, sometimes like I'll find myself on a plane and as I'm sitting on a plane and I'm watching this on my iPad and they would play some of his joints. I just, when it hits you, it hits you. And I'm bobbing my head like, I forgot this nigga was a beast. Some of it, Through the Wire, Slow Jams, Gold Diggers, Jesus Walks, and If All Falls Down, those first two albums, Jesus.
And they're still his best-selling albums.
Right.
But, and going to that, what you just said, so you're Jay-Z, you have this record, and you get Jesus Walks.
Right.
You don't think that you're looking at that like this, okay, if you recognize genius and that was genius, but this is going to have to take a person who can push through everything to get to that because this was not, Jesus Walks was not what hip-hop was doing at the time.
At all.
So that's why, again, when I go back to what you said earlier, I think they put him in a position where he had to break the door down. They weren't just going to put it up because he wasn't going to go out on tour and kill it if he wasn't ready at that moment, if it wasn't to bust down doors.
Dude, I remember, and I don't know if geek is the right word, but he started that whole trend for a second.
Backpack rappers.
With the backpacks. Yeah. And niggas with the polo shirts. And I just went, from fashion to music to lyrics, this motherfucker was, Jamie Foxx, I saw this great thing on the internet yesterday on Facebook. Jamie Foxx tells his story. And of course they showed it in the documentary for what was the song? Slow Jams. And he goes, Kanye comes to him and goes, hey, I want you to do the hook. A little Marvin Gaye, did it, all right. And he goes, I went in there and I said, all right, let me put my Jamie on it. And I did all the typical black shit, Marvin Gaye, like all the riffs and all that. And he said, Kanye goes, don't do that. Kanye, and Jamie says, Kanye, who no one knows yet, is telling me, nah, don't do that. This is hip hop. Just trust me on this. Do this. And I thought to myself, as I recorded it afterwards, well, this song's gonna be whack. This guy's not gonna be a hit. He goes, after I got done doing such and such movie, and I came back to the States, my people hit me and was like, remember that song you did with him that you thought was whack? Yeah, number one. So just the foresight and the creative genius to go, just follow me, yo. You might not see where I'm going. You might not get what I'm doing, but just follow me. I see something you don't. And it's That's why the genius of why I love Magic Johnson or a Larry Bird or a Jordan, the IQ, the ability to see the play before it happens, while everybody else is seeing it in actual time. You already saw it ahead of time. That's awesome.
But that's staying true to what he believed. That's why he was on this path.
Yeah.
Because he can't get off this path. This is what he believes. How many other people would have broke down and did something different? How many other people would have stopped and go, well, I make money producing. I'm going to just do the beats. There is something very special about Kanye, even at this point as an unknown artist.
Let me jump ahead to this. Would you? Because I know Kanye puts himself up there like that, which most people will go, you don't put yourself, you let other people anoint you. But when you think of the great geniuses, Ali, and of course Ali called himself the greatest, but Ali, Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, Dave Chappelle. Is Kanye there in terms of special and great? Is he among those?
You know, it's hard for me to say only because of this. He created a lane. He didn't create the business. Do you know? He didn't create this whole thing. He created a lane in it.
Right.
And I think he's genius for staying in the lane that he built. Mm-hmm. And genius without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
But is he at the greatest, or is he part of the greatest?
I never quite knew how to feel about that until you just said it. A lane. Because when I think of Ali, you think of the world, beloved, treated godlike, his humanitarian shit, his stance on Vietnam. This was big, big shit. Oh, yeah. And he was a beautiful boxer. Graceful. The way he moved, it looked like poetry in motion. On top of all the other shit, that's so heavy. When you think of Michael Jackson, again, since a child, world renowned, the hits, people falling out crying, fainting, grown men doing this. You know, the impact, the fact that whether it's been Marcus Houston, Usher, fucking Mario, Neo, Justin Timberlake, they've all taken his style. That's such an impact. Jordan, same, world renowned, ain't played ball in 20 years, #1 selling shoe, still the culture, pop culture, the bald head, you know, those guys are fucking boom. Dave Chappelle is our Richard Pryor. Kanye, I don't know if he's at that level, but he's got that lane, like you said.
Because I think to be the greatest, to consider to be the greatest, you almost have to forget about the people that came before you and then see the influence that you've had on the people that are coming after you. This is why when we talk Michael Jordan, everybody's going to go, they're going to go to Michael Jordan. You forget about all the other players that came before Michael.
Right.
I mean, you don't really, they're there. I mean, we know Kareem was fucking amazing. We know that Magic was amazing.
Oscar Robinson
and Bill Russell. We know that they're there, but his game, you forget about their game and you look at Michael Jordan's game, and then you look at the people that came after Michael Jordan. And do we see Bill Russell or do we see Michael Jordan? Do we see these other athletes, or do we see Michael Jordan in them? I mean, if you really break it down to look at 7-footers playing a different kind of game, that's because of someone like Michael Jordan. I think that's what makes you, when you're the greatest, is that you forget about the people that really came before them,
right,
and then you see the influence that they have on the future and what they're doing that way. And again, Kanye's a lane. I don't know that you forget about the people.
Right.
Like when you bring up Michael Jackson, I mean, a lot of people have hits. You forget about the Jackson 5.
Well, but that's why I said, since A child.
Yeah.
This man has been famous.
But if you ask someone today, you could say, do you know who Michael Jackson is? Yeah. You could ask someone today, a younger person, do you know who the Jackson 5 were?
They probably say no.
No.
I'm scared to say, you could ask a young person today, do you know who Michael Jackson is? And they say no.
I don't think that they would say no because
You think so?
It's too ingrained. It's stamped into the culture. I don't think. And when I say the culture, just for everybody listening, I'm not talking about black culture. I'm talking about
Culture.
World
culture.
Culture is what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And that's Ali. That's Michael Jordan.
That's Michael Jackson. Yeah, and I go, Kanye, he's a genius. And he's a bad motherfucker. I don't know. I don't feel that weight with him like you do those other dudes.
As we go past what we're talking about, I think there could have been something more for him in that outside that lane, but we have to deal with what we're going into in this doc.
Right.
So keep going and we'll get there.
And now that brings me to part 3. And I think it was the part where he was in the truck and he's playing him going on the rant where he got emotional. And at some point, I guess Carlson Tucker commented on it and made him feel like at one point he validated Kanye a little bit. And Kanye went, see? But then there were other parts where, like that part with Rick Rubin, where he was saying, Rick, come out, fly out now. Let's blah, 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 blah. And I forget what Rubin, God, I wish I could remember this. It was a phrase that Rick Rubin said that Kanye didn't agree with. And Kanye rambled about why he didn't like how Rick said that and said, don't say that, say this. And because
of the negative energy that was put on him.
And sometimes I just go,
this is when they were in Costa Rica, right?
I think so, yeah. And I went, sometimes while working for rich, successful people, a la Kanye, because maybe of the money you make, the position you're in, the opportunity that can afford you, you got to work the job. But I know that some of those people want to go, man, shut the fuck up. Like some of your ramblings are insane. What are you talking about? But because that's your boss, because it's Kanye, because he's a billionaire, you got to listen to that shit. But you can read the people's faces and see where they want to go, man, shut the fuck up.
But this is what happens. And this goes back to the very beginning now when we said about his mom. This is what happens when you're only told yes. Because his greatest 2 albums are coming from off of having to work his ass off to get the approval that he wanted from the only people telling him no.
Right.
Then he gets to his yes times. And now no one's telling him no. And that's where you create monsters.
Ugh.
I'm going to, I've said this about, listen, I'm not, and the only reason I'm bringing this name up in this conversation is because it is Kanye. That's how you get a Trump. People who are told yes all the time. I made a joke this weekend about, I want eyebrow money. I want those fuck you eyebrows. And what is that? That's when you make so much money that you don't even cut your eyebrows and no one's going to tell you what an idiot you look like because you have that much money. And that was Trump. But when you get to a place where people don't want to tell you no because of what your past successes are, they don't want to be honest with you. They don't want to say that that's off. Look at everybody standing around him and everybody just like, when he's sitting there and he's telling people things that they're at a table and you see the disagreement with everybody, but they just peel off. They don't say anything.
I would hate to have to sit there and listen to that bullshit. It's like, dude, you're not making sense. You're incoherent. You're all over the place. But I got to sit there for 30 minutes and nod my head and pretend like I'm into this.
But here's the other side of that. When I'm listening to Kanye, when I'm listening to him when he's going to run for president, that's coming up in here. Dude, see, I hear it as rambling. But if you step back from it, I also hear a genius that has all these thoughts and he's trying to articulate them to people that aren't working on his level. And I'm not saying that it's greatest level. I don't know what level it is. But if you are really smart, have you ever heard a really smart person trying to tell a person that has no education how to talk to them?
Yeah, when we were in Mississippi, everybody I talked to.
But you know how you sound so off because you're trying to explain to somebody so basic. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know, and this is what no one knows. Is Kanye that out there that he's that far ahead and he's trying to communicate to us about how he sees things? Because I know I go on ramble sometimes and I know people aren't getting me. And then as I listen to myself, I go, God, I should have, if I would have connected this to this and this to that, then they would have understood it. Is he that out there? Is he that out there that he's that far ahead? Or is he that out there that he's that out there?
Listen, I don't ever claim to be the brightest guy in the room, but I know I'm far from the dumbest. You know, I'm a nice, closer to smarter on the needle than closer to dumb. I'm more than halfway. And I just go, there can't be another level of genius that I'm just not getting to be able to understand this horse shit.
No, I think that he was seeing something. I don't think that he even knew how to contain it. I really do. I understand some of the things that he went through. I understand the idea of wanting to be, not me personally wanting to be president, but I could understand why someone who felt that they could make change for better.
Listen, you should never put a limit on your dreams. But depending on what your dreams are, there might be limits to how far you can go. Kanye would never be president of the United States.
Okay.
Not in a million fucking years.
Well,
not in a million fucking years.
It depends who he's running against. Because
fuck that.
There's some people that I know shouldn't be running. But now everybody's saying he needs medication. These off his meds, that he needs the medication. And I'm saying, and this is what I said to you, Kanye was always this person. He's always this person that is on this other level. But the difference is, in this part 3, it's not his meds that he was missing. It's that his mom passed away, and his mom was his medication. His mom was his meds. That's who communicated to him. That's who he called when people didn't understand him. And she communicated in a way and understood him that allowed him to continue to move forward. But he has always been this person. And that's why I'm asking, could he have seen more that he can't articulate?
I understood everything you just said. But if I didn't, ask me why I didn't understand.
Why didn't you understand?
Because I'm from Mississippi.
I hope everybody knows that's a bottle opening. That.
Well, if you listen to the podcast in order, you do.
but you only said it real quick in it.
Yeah, but you get it. Once you've heard it, you know that is the bottle opener.
Man, that lady. I still think about her sometimes.
Dude.
She comes up in nightmares sometimes.
Just like that. I'm from Mississippi. And that's where you wake up. At the sound of a bottle opening.
That is it, though.
That is it.
So, guys, real quick where we're going to be. Let me get this out because we got some good dates here. You're listening to this on Wednesday, the 6th of April. So that weekend, we're going to be at the Comedy Factory in Baltimore. If you haven't got tickets, come on out. It's going to be a fun show. I like going to Baltimore. I really do. I like the club.
I'm looking forward to that place from Triple D we went to, the crab place.
Yeah. The one that we actually took a ride out to go to this place. And then the following week will be April 15th through the 16th. It's just a quick weekend. We're going to be at the Albany Funny Bone. I'm trying to talk Aries to coming out early so we can go do some Jersey shit.
Jay-Z.
You could do Tony Soprano all over the place. They would love it.
I gotta fucking love it. I can't wait till we go to the Roderick.
I can take you to Holstein's.
That's
ice cream place.
Where the don't stop.
Yeah.
I want to go to Pizza Land.
We can go to Pizza Land on the way.
Have you ever had a slice?
Yes.
Is it good?
Yes. It's pizza.
That Jersey.
It's pizza. No, there's better pizza.
Really?
I don't want to shit on Pizza Land, though. It's good pizza.
Right.
It's a good slice that I mean, the pizza's good. I mean, like when you, the slice, but I have other places that are close by that I like a lot. But we could go there, but I would love to go to Holstein.
And they don't just serve ice cream, right?
No, they have, it's like a little mini diner kind of idea. It feels like a little diner in there. But but it's an inexpensive place.
Okay.
And it's where Soprano lived. I still saying that that we died there. No, I don't care. Send in your letters. April 21st through the 23rd, we're going to be at Skyline Comedy Club in Appleton, Wisconsin. And then the 29th through the 30th, we're at 29th actually through May 1st, we're going to be at Summit City Comedy Club in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Followed by Pittsburgh in May 6th through the 8th. And I'll leave it right there right now.
Are we growing at Spearsburg Pod on Instagram?
We're growing, but
Slow growth?
it's growing. That's where I was saying we should get, so people can connect with you. We should get you to be able to work that a little bit more until you get your page back.
Yeah, I know, but
then you can't really write what you want to write on that one.
Right. Yeah, I'll know if my page is back by June. That'll be the time frame for where we should be coming back, if it's coming back.
You don't want to do a temp?
Nah, I would just rather wait. And if it don't come back by June, then I'll go ahead and revamp. Come up. I'm also doing Gilbert Arenas' podcast next Wednesday, formerly of the Washington Wizards. He brought the gun into the locker room. And me and him gonna get into it because he feel like he be trying to shit on Jordan every chance he gets.
Really?
Yeah.
He also was from the U of A. So
University of Arizona?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And he just slid right through Lute Olson's. I mean, he obviously was drafted and did well in the NBA, but he was never the focus. Olson didn't make him a focus. He was.
I know. I remember at one point when LeBron came into the NBA, it was almost like it felt like the Wizards and the Cavs were going to become a rivalry. Because I remember a couple times he was on the free throw line, LeBron, and Gilbert was giving him shit.
Agent 00.
Agent 00. God, what he was good, man.
He was really good. But I asked him, if you don't mind, ask him why he thought, why he wasn't more of a focal point in Lute's offense.
Right. Whose offense?
Lute Olson. He was
the
coach of the U of A.
Oh, okay. I will do that. Coming up, this is Ty Howard. The song is called Forever. He didn't give me any social information, which is why we said in our conversation, everybody ain't gonna make it. Because some people sometimes it's them. They don't listen.
He's Jeen-yuhs. Jeen-yuhs.
You almost sound like you were having a stroke when you.
I couldn't get it out, man.
Oh boy. Ty Howard. It's called Forever. Am I forgetting anything? Y'all know the business. Spearsburg Pod, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, MySpace, Facebook, and Patreon. Enjoy.
See ya. Thanks for listening to the Spears and Steinberg podcast. If you'd like to know who's responsible for this shit, it was hosted by Ari Spears and Andy Steinberg, produced by Steve Merrick and Anthony Holmes, executive producer, Big Papa, Robert Kelly, and Matt Klein-Schmidt for the Laugh Button podcast. For more information on where to find us, visit SpearsburgPod.com.